It is time for Around the 412 with Smitty and Tyler.
Welcome back to another episode of Around the 412. I am Tyler. With me, as always, is my co-host Smitty. Be sure to go follow us on all of our social medias at Around the 412 and go check out some of the links in the description of each and every show. We've got year 6 of Rocking Around the 412 kicked off. You can click on the link, check out the GoFundMe, and read about the mission. Over the past 5 years, we've been able to raise over $25,000 with the help of all of you to help kids in our local 724 and 412 area codes. And provide them the Christmas that Smitty and I never really had to worry about. As well as last year, we partnered with the East Rochester, PA Salvation Army location and adopted some of the kids off of their angel tree. We're going to continue to do so this year, as well as help out those individual families that we have helped out in the past. So go check out that link, as well as the Everything Custom Designed links. We have an Etsy link and a Facebook link. You can go check out and get some custom designed merch. No hats, but you can get some merch, get some t-shirts. I think you can get some cooking aprons, but still no hats. And also, if you're listening, this is the Livy Dunn version of Around the 412. That's what it should be known by at least the past several weeks.
Yeah, well, her boyfriend isn't going to pitch again this season for the Pirates, and that's something that I got on here. So, yeah, they saw what they needed to see, they said, from the 2023 Paul Skenes, and they're excited about him going into 2024 and going to ramp him back up then, but he's not going to pitch any more innings this year for them, which is last week our conversation was basically saying he's going to be fine. We'll see how many more appearances he makes. The answer to that was one more appearance, which he did look much better in. Yeah, did look much better. So that's at least, ending on a high note. But I'm really surprised that he's not getting at least one more outing, like maybe one more extended innings outing where you stretch them out a little bit. But I mean, listen, as long as they feel confident about what they saw and they feel good about it, as long as it doesn't change the trajectory that he's on or where they're planning on him starting out next year or anything, I really don't care that much. I guess I don't necessarily get it, but whatever. It is what it is. They know better than I do, hopefully.
Well, I don't know if we can really say that's the case based off results within the organization, but we got to trust him. I guess the trust the bucket process. Bring that back. But he did look good in his 2-inning outing after his previous Altoona start. So he had I think he just gave it the 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. So it looked good. I don't really think it's the wrong decision, and who am I to say it's the wrong decision to really just shut him down for the year? But it is curious to me that there is still most of a month left of baseball that he could have pitched a couple more times, and they're just shutting him down. But I guess if they did indeed see what they wanted him to see and didn't want to risk anything happening to him, then by all means go for it. I mean, he's your number 1 overall pick. I don't blame them for wanting to be hesitant with it. If they do truly trust that they saw enough where they're like, okay, we just want to get this guy into winter workouts and then be ready for next spring training, then by all means, that's fine. But it is curious. I would have thought that after his first start in Altoona, where it looked pretty bad, that they would have given him at least a couple more starts to grow some, maybe not even just some confidence, but to get some better reps at that AA level. He just got the 1 and he looked good in that 1. So it's curious to me that they didn't give him more, but it is what it is. I mean, this isn't really something that is moving the needle too much for us. It's just news at this point. So I don't really care about the decision, whether one way or the other, but it is news.
Yeah, we talked about, what we think this means, if anything, going into 2024. I don't think it really means anything. Maybe this was their plan the entire time, regardless of what they saw from him in these few outings. But what we do know is we are unlikely to see Oneil Cruz back again in 2023. Suffered a little bit of a setback while running. Yeah, I mean, there's no point in him. Even if he could come back for the last game, or what's the point?
What is the point? You don't even want to risk anything at that point.
Yeah, just get ready for 2024. He's too important to what this franchise hopes to be within the next few seasons. And if they're going to go anywhere, it's because Oneil Cruz is the guy that we think Oneil Cruz is going to be. So at this point, just completely shut him down, say that he's done for the year, move on to 2024. And maybe internally they already know that. It just hasn't been said. But yeah, let's call it a day. His season's over.
I agree. I think that there's no reason, especially in the situation the Pirates are in. You're not pushing for anything in terms of division or playoffs at this point in the season. I think that you were just risking him re-aggravating injuries at this point, like he just did. So I think it's the smart move. Shut him down. Don't do anything stupid that could risk hurting him even more. Whenever there's literally no point. If he came back in the next couple weeks, or even if it was just during the last series of the season and got injured again, imagine the uproar that fans would have with the organization at that point. I think it's just a smart decision to be able to just shut him down. If we're talking about the beginning of August, then yeah, bring him back. Let's see how he does. But we're into September now. There's really no point of him even playing baseball again the rest of the season.
And, on a similar note, Henry Davis just started taking batting practice again, but we haven't heard from him in a few weeks. And the team's been pretty coy on it. Like, we really haven't heard what's going on with that situation lately. I don't know if the plan is for him to return or not. What would you do with Henry Davis? Would you look at it similarly where it's like it doesn't even matter for the rest of 2023? Or would you like him to return and get as many games in as he possibly could because he's still, such a young player and learning at this level?
Yeah, he's a little different, and I think that part of that is because the injuries are different. I wouldn't mind seeing Henry Davis get some at bats to close out the season, and part of that too is like, yeah, he didn't have a lot of MLB experience. It's just what we've seen this season. So unlike Oneil, if he can come back, granted, if it's within like the last week and they're still questioning whether it could happen, then yeah, just shut him down. I'm not worried about it. But if he can come back within like next week or so, and get into a game, even if it isn't just like a DH role and they don't feel comfortable with him playing in the field, but that he can at least get some game reps batting, I'd be okay with that. And I know that's probably sounds a little different than my Oneil Cruz take. I just think with the injuries, it's different, and with how the season has gone for the two of them, I just think it's totally different situations when you compare the two.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same line of thinking, not knowing the extent of the injury, of course. Like, if it's something where, like, and it's also assuming that he can come back relatively soon. If we're talking about him only coming back for like the last game or two, at that point, I'd probably be questioning it. But if it's even like a week or something that he can come back for, then yeah, I think it's worth him getting those at bats. So I guess we just have to kind of like wait and see if the team does say anything about it or what. But I also wanted to bring up where the team's at right now. So they lost today 7-3, so they're probably 6-4 in their last 10 now. But coming into today's game, as of recording this, again, that's going to change by time people are listening to this. They had gotten to a point where they had won 7 of their last 10, gotten to 10 games under 500, which is actually only 7.5 out of a playoff spot at the time of recording this as well. I'm not saying that's going to happen or anything like that, but just saying, where things were at because of this little hot streak they've gone on now. We kind of talked about that last week too, like how important it was, even though they're not playing for much in standings, how important it was just to win as many games as possible to create a culture. Like that's the big thing for me heading into 2024 is just giving these young players a taste and a sense of what it's like to win at the major league level.
Yeah, and I think that's super important. You don't want to really dampen the confidence in some of these guys in your team. You want them to believe that you're able to win and win with the guys that you have in that clubhouse. I think that they've had a good stretch for sure. At least as of recording this, they've had a good stretch. We'll see what the next couple of days look like before this video comes out. But I think that they still could close out the season strong. And if they went, granted, they lost tonight as of recording this, so they only have 23 games and not 24 games left. But going into this, I was thinking with 24 games left, if they only won half of them and they went 12-12 and they finished the game winning 76 games, I feel like if at the beginning of the season, if you would have said the Pirates are going to win 76 games, a lot of people would have signed up for that. Now, granted, the road has been a lot harder than what we had expected and definitely not played out the way that we thought this season would. But I still think that if they were able to finish within that like 76, 77 range, like wins and string off some more wins and keep going on this little streak that they had, I think that that's a great end to the season. And it's showing that despite being in the situation that they are, despite being where they are in the standings, they're not, it doesn't matter to them. They're still going to play ball. They're going to still play hard. And credit to the young guys for being able to do that, and not giving up and keep fighting in these games, even though at the end of the day, these games are almost meaningless. They're technically not meaningless because they're not eliminated, but they're almost meaningless at this point.
Yeah, it's not for the standings though. They're playing for what it's going to do beyond 2023 for this club at this point, which is, the conversations that we've had on an individual level about these other players that we've talked about. It's just at a team level now. So, I'm still somewhat invested into what the team is doing this year, just because there are so many young players that you hope are part of 2024 and beyond. I mean, I want to continue to watch like what Johan Oviedo does on the mound, because like if he's going to be a key piece for them on the hill, and I think they kind of need him to be, because it very well could be that Rowanzi isn't, maybe Quentin Priester's not. They're going to need a guy like Johan Oviedo to be legit. And even with that, you're still probably needing to add outside arms. So I'm very invested to see what he does. Andy Rodriguez, how does he continue to progress? So there's still storylines to watch on this team, even though from T. Brian Hayes, like, does he finish the year the way that he's been going the last month? Because if that's the case, they're in a much better spot going into 2024 than if that doesn't happen.
Most defensive runs saved since 2020, by the way.
Yeah. It's almost like that almost makes me like, I don't even know what the right word is. Like, I'm not surprised at all. Like, I almost yawn when you say that, just because it's expected. Like, fair or not, that's just what I expect from T. Brian Hayes from a defensive standpoint, at least at this point.
But it's still in question whether he's going to win the Gold Glove.
Yeah, that's why we brought it up on here. If you guys missed that show, be sure to go check it out. I was that just last week's? I think that was just last week's. Yeah, I think that there's a case to be made there that him doing what he is offensively to end the season makes his case for Gold Glove like real. I don't know, without him doing what he's done at the plate, that it's even like as stupid as that may seem. I think that's a real thing, that he needs to have the offense to at least put his name out there a little bit more to be able to win the Gold Glove. Like, it sounds so dumb coming out of my mouth, but I think it's true.
It's dumb. And the award will probably go to Nolan Arenafrado again, but it is what it is.
Arenafrado. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's all we got Pirates wise. Again, this point in the year, man, we're really let us know what you guys would like to see us talk about Pirates wise. I mean, we can go into some stuff for 2024. We can do a show where we maybe do like some predictions for right now, who's on the team that we think will be back in 2024 or something like that. So let us know in the comments what you guys want to see on here. Leave us a like, hit that notification bell, subscribe to the channel if you are new or haven't already. I know like a ton of our viewership comes from people that aren't subscribed to the channels. I don't get it. I don't know why that's a thing. I think it's like across YouTube if that's the case, but it doesn't cost any money to subscribe. I will say you can, because we are monetized. If you wanted to donate to the channel, you could. By no means do you have to do so, but we're going to do something when people become members. If we ever do acquire members, I definitely want to do some type of like monthly giveaways, or at least bi-monthly or something like that. So we'll see how that goes. If you were listening somewhere else, leave us a 5-star review. Check out the links in the description of the show, both for year 6 of Rocking Around the 412, our Christmas mission, where we've raised over $25,000 in the first 5 years of doing so. Every single penny goes directly to families, the kids in those families, to provide them Christmas, the Christmases that Tyler and I were fortunate enough to have growing up, as well as we partnered with the East Rochester Salvation Army, their Angel Tree. It's a great mission that they do. We became familiar with it last year, and want to carry on doing that in our late friend Dalton Keene's name. His girlfriend Kaylee and daughter Isla have also become involved in the mission as well, and are going to be in the future. And so something that was already so special to us in the first 4 years became very special in year 5, and I think is only going to continue to do so. So I'm really excited about it. Anybody that donates will also be eligible to win some prizes down the road. I will announce what those are. It's only September 5th, so I don't like have any of those yet, but a lot of them typically come from like Pristine Auctions, maybe Total Sports Enterprises. It's going to be sports based stuff as well. Maybe some tickets involved. Were there tickets involved last year?
Yeah, I gave away some Penguin tickets
last year. Okay. But yeah, and anybody that supports us know, like, for example, it wasn't because of Rock Around the 412. This was an NFL draft thing, but I just got Tyler Hurley 2 tickets for Steelers Jaguars that he won during our live stream. So you guys got to subscribe to the channel, watch the shows, listen to the podcast, and you at some point down the line, you're going to be eligible to win some prizes at some point because there's a lot of different times throughout the year that we do giveaways. So, but Rock Around the 412 is a big one. So check that out, as well as Everything Custom Designs. Our friend Haley Wagner making a lot of custom stuff, just not hats. And I'll leave it at that. For Tyler, for Smitty, this has been Around the 412. Go check out another video so you can watch us on the screen or listen to us for a little bit longer than just 15 minutes. We will see you next time, but until then, bye-bye.